guess you're up here to talk about possibly purchase of a shredder.
Yes, sir.
Go right ahead.
Well, I've had the idea probably for the last 2 or 3 or 4 years of trying to put a commercial type shredder into the building, so we could do away with the expense of the county, to the county for a outside shredder facility, which is normally pretty costly. Laura put together some dollars and cents for me on past history of what has been spent. It looks like a total of almost $9,000 starting back in 2016. And that's between the courthouse, prosecutor's office, and the judge's office. So my thinking is, if we can purchase the machine, get it in-house, as the material becomes available for shredding, we can just take care of it right then and there. We'll stop the backlog of like this last shredding episode we had. I think we had like 120 boxes. I had my trailer loaded up completely full. Mr. Reisman saw that. Plus what the prosecutor had out in the front yard for us. It's just got to be quite an ordeal. And the expense of it. I don't know what the last trip out cost. The Lord hasn't got the billing on that yet. But that's to be seen. I've investigated this piece of equipment, talked to the salesman. The literature you have in front of me. If you look at the first page, it gives you the paper shredding size. Pretty much details how the machine operates. Has a self-oiler. Belt driven that pulls the material into the feeder system. Second page shows you the breakdown of the cost, and this is a GSA purchase also. It's government buy pricing. Gives you the price of the shredder, supplies, and the last $500 at the bottom that you see is an optional item. That's to bring a representative in. Once we get the machine in place, wired up, and ready to service, they'll come in, fire it up, and teach us how to run it. I don't see we need to spend that $500. We can put that elsewhere as far as running wiring, which is going to be an outside expense, to wire the thing up and get it up and going. Last page, if you look, the item number is 8806cc. So it gives you the dimensions of that uncrated. It just shows dimensions shredder only in parentheses. So it's a pretty good sized unit. The unit weighs 1,008 pounds. It's on 4 swivel caster rollers, shipped in by pallet. We break it off the pallet, take a pallet handler and get it into the basement, get it in place. Once I get it in place, if and when we decide to purchase, I want to enclose it in its own little house. So the setting point is going to be right across from the elevator in the basement, if you will. So to keep people from tampering with it or messing with it, little kids messing around, I just want to put a little cabinet right around this thing, close it up, it's sight out of mind. When it comes to purchasing, I don't know if we want the council to purchase, or if the council wants me to purchase, or how the actual financing would go to buy this machine.
Do you have money in your budget where you could buy it?
I do.
Is that going to make you short if we do it that
way?
Or?
Yeah, it'll run me a little bit short, but we're close enough to the end of the year, barring any fatality or major disasters. I think I can get by okay. So I don't have any large projects lined up other than Mr. Meese and you, John, were talking about resurfacing or revamping the doors.
Yeah, we've got to do something with those doors.
Yeah.
I mean, that's something we want to talk to you, I think, about anyway.
Yeah, and I'm still collecting the data, the quotes on that. I've got one in, but I'm waiting on another one. It's hard to find somebody to do that.
Well, I don't doubt it. So the free phase is not a problem then?
No, we can get the 223 phase. It's a 3 horsepower motor on this thing. It's quite a machine actually.
How many horsepower did you say?
It's a 3 horse motor.
3 horse motor.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
But I've got power close by. There's I think 3 or 4 panels right there next door to me on the hallway aisle.
Justin, Jason, what do you guys do for shredding?
We've used that before, but it may have been prior to 2016. We keep summer records a little bit longer than you're required to, but a lot of ours too, you have to hold on for 10 years,
Right.
whatever.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
But at some point, 10 years runs out, of course.
yeah.
So you would have business for this machine too.
Oh, yeah,
So
yeah.
But at this point, if you're going to dispose of records, you're going to hire it out, same as we have
Yeah.
been doing, right?
And like I said, we've used that before through the county. It's just, it might have been prior to.
Yeah, and that's fine. Whatever. I just want to make sure that you were still doing that, or had to do that as well.
Oh, yeah.
Whether you've done it recently is not my concern.
Yeah.
So there's another charge at some point coming along, is the jail's records.
The court system, I talked to Kim the other day, they're getting ready to line up a company to come in for $150 or $50 a month. They'll bring in a tub, they fill their tub up, they come in, pick it up, put in a new tub and take it away and shred it. But that's going to be a $50 monthly fee for them, according to Kim. So my understanding, the prosecutor is also looking at some kind of a situation like that, to have a company come in.
Using one.
So,
Well, if we get our own, certainly the convenience, I mean, and hopefully the clerk now would be able to hold more of those, what do they call those?
Record
meetings.
retention meeting.
And that way, why we have those meetings more often and not have this build up where, we had boxes in here stacked and stacked.
yeah, we did.
and stacked.
Yeah, I think there was 15 or 20 boxes out of here.
So we'd be able to shred on a more timely basis.
It keeps that accumulation number down in the attic, in the basement of the courthouse,
Attic
the
is
jail.
full.
The attic's full of all this stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm sure it's maybe better than when you and I went up there, however long ago that's been, but, there's a lot of weight up there on that building. It's unnecessary.
The sad part is we don't know what that can hold.
Well, we don't have any
Put
idea
more
what
there.
they're
Yep.
Well, Don and I talked about this ahead of time, brought it up, and I asked him to come in and talk to everyone about it. Don's recommendation to me was that he would do a transfer from building maintenance to the equipment maintenance in his budget, for the balance that would be necessary. My math comes out that it's $95.40 without the $500 on-site that you said you don't need. And at that point, you've essentially at this point paid for this, and Justin's department hasn't hit this at any point on this list, and there'll be more coming, and we can get rid of some of these $50 a month charges that might have come along, and just.
Yeah, we should probably insist that they stop.
Yeah, there's no more shredding. We're gonna buy a shredder.
Shredding
We're not gonna
outside.
pay a
If
shredder.
we get a shredder, then
Yeah.
that'll have to stop.
Yeah, my game plan was, if we get it set up and going, is to just I'll purchase some small tubs, put a tub in each office, and that'll be their shredder tub. When they get enough filled in that, they give me a call, I'll go up, get it, bring it down, and get rid of it.
Yeah.
Job done.
Then we can impress upon the clerk to have more record retention meetings to expunge more frequently, so that Don doesn't have 120 boxes to deal with.
So you'll have to store, you shouldn't have to store all those someplace until.
At this point, you could shred every week and throw it in the dumpster and be done.
Yeah, you could. Yeah, it wouldn't be that big a deal at that point.
All right.
I'm fine with it, but everybody else all right with that?
Makes sense to me.
Well, we heard two commissioners have talked about it, but we didn't want to make a decision on it until we knew if you guys were willing to fund it or not, so
Yep,
kind of that area. So if you give us the go-ahead, then we'll probably go ahead and prove that next time.
yep.
Good.
I think so. So then figure out which transfer amount's gonna be in these inner categories, so.
And then we got the situation with the doors. Meese and I looked at the doors a few days, a couple weeks or so ago. Definitely we had to do some of those doors. I guess again, what I want to impress upon you is let's try to find a professional outfit to come in and do it, not the barn painter down the road, because those doors, they need to really be fixed and fixed correctly. So, and I know it's a tough charge. I mean, it's easy for me to say that, hard for you to find that. So that's what we want.
I sent one quote to Mr. Meach yesterday by email. It's the only one I've received. I've reached out, I was telling him earlier, I've reached out probably 5 or 6 different directions through Sherwin-Williams, giving me names of contractors, actual professional contractors. I made calls to these guys. I had 2 people come back to me. So I got a quote from one I sent to Mr. Meach yesterday. It was like, how much was it?
$24,000 for
$24,000.
outside doors, inside doors, and the entrance.
That's stripping the bare wood, start all over again with a brand new surface.
Remember last time?
That's 4 in each direction?
Yes,
Both
4 in
sets
each
of doors.
direction, yes, yeah, 16 doors altogether.
And that includes the
walls, yeah, on the inside.
transom or whatever you call that at the
Yeah.
top and everything. I
Yeah.
mean, people hear that and think, oh, it's just a
Just a
door.
door slide.
Well, it's the
It's the
whole
entrance.
And the toughest part of that, of course, is getting it down to bare wood. It's pretty intricate to
Absolutely.
sand
Well, there's a
around.
lot of labor. I don't.
There is.
You don't just get to sample last time.
And last time the guy was doing okay. If you remember, we went through that here, however many years ago it was, and we were going to go with a transparent stain and then a sealer on the outside. And we were involved with all of that. But then when it came time to put the stain on, it was not a clear stain. It was semi-transparent stain. And that's why it's got that smeary look on it that it shouldn't have. Should you have that wood grain coming through?
It almost looks like they paint.
Yes, it does. Yeah.
Well, when you and I looked at it.
And that was not what we talked about. And we were there till the last day. The last day we saw what he was going to use, we were fine. So that's not what came out. It was clearly a semi-transparent stain. That's not what we want. We want transparent. We just want to see the green coming out. That's all we want to do. And then a top coat on top of that. Clear coat.
It must be like we were talking about like a marine.
Yeah, and I asked the other commissioners a little bit, so I would ask you guys a little too. Do we want to go back with the same beige kind of a color to go better with the outside look of the windows? Or do we want to go with the dark to match the inside doors? I mean, they're all walnut, so the inside doors are that dark walnut color. Do we want to match those, or do we want to stay with the lighter color? So we'll have to pull the trigger on that. The price to do would be the same regardless of what color we go with, but we need to decide what color we want to go with before we get to
I
the
personally like the dark myself.
Those windows are the wrong color anyway.
You're
I'll just tell you that right up front.
Yeah, well, I would disagree with you on that. We had quite a committee together to do that. And even Jack Wilson, let's put you in the category of Jack Wilson. Jack Wilson called me before we put him up. He said, that's going to be the wrong color. And this is Jack Wilson now, because this is going to be remarkable for you here in a moment. And because it was all wrong, it's going to be wrong. It's all you see with the door or with the windows. Jack called me after it was up. Jack Wilson said this. I was wrong. Jack said he was wrong. He loved it. He thought that was perfect. He thought it was perfect.
You and Jack Wilson agreed, that's all we need to hear.
So for Jack Wilson
Moving on.
saying I was wrong and they look good.
Well, I think that the door should match the inside.
That's what I think. That's my opinion too.
Yeah, that's all we need. We need opinions, because we'll have to pull the trigger on at some point.
Don, do you need anything else from us?
Just add to the door situation. I've got one more quote. I was supposed to have a guy in this morning, but he just called me. I was on my way over here. He had to postpone until next week for another professional quote.
Okay, well, keep working on it. I mean, we want to get we want to try to find the right outfit to do it so we get a good job and all of that thing. So just keep on it, I guess, and hopefully. It's tough to find anybody to do anything. Everybody's booked and, I try to get some things done personally and you can't, it's hard to get anything done because everybody's covered up.
Yeah.
Or get my help or whatever. Okay.
So on the actual purchase, who would make the sign off on the sign off sheet, which is the last page that you looked at?
Mr. Meeks.
Mr. Meeks, okay. That's all I have, I think. I appreciate your time and your help.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Don.
We appreciate you having the idea and that sort of thing. So,
Thank you.
okay. Sheriff?
See you guys.
That is the half-year commissary report that I have to submit. I think that goes up into the first week of June. At the end of the year, I'll pick up and get you to the end. 59 inmates in jail this morning. We billed $11,888. That's what we're averaging per month for the DOC. $83,216 so far for the year of housing them. And that's the number we track. The state's got the set amount that they're,
Have you heard anything from them yet?
no. No, it's close. It's always down to the wire when they send that, so.
Well, it's supposed to, it seems like sometime this month when it'll come along. I don't remember when.
Yeah, I remember last year, I think it was closed right up to the budget hearing time, I think, when they give us a misdemeanor number. The USDA grant, the Tahoe that's on that should be getting built this month. So hopefully in August, maybe we'll have that in our hands. Then we're going to buy a second one like in the fall or November and buy it out of commissary money. And that ought to keep us pretty good on cars again, so.
So I can scratch off the one in 22.
Yeah, yes, yep.
We're expecting that, were you?
I'll take it, $40,000 I can find in the thing right now.
The cars are in pretty good shape though, or will be.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I don't, probably 80% of them are still under warranty now.
Well,
Our fleet.
It's good. We've done
Been rolling them over pretty regularly.
Yeah.
It's
We
bad.
bought several, and the sheriff has kicked in a lot of his own discretionary money into that, and gotten a lot of grants on it.
It's worked very well.
Very good.
And yeah, either next year or the year after that, we'll be able to start trading them in then. So yeah, you can buy one for half price. We do the trade-ins, so. So yeah, it should just keep getting better hopefully from here on out.
So,
Fair's coming up, so we'll have our mobile command trailer out there. We set up in the evenings every year, so we'll be out there again this year. And then our hope is to do National Night Out in September. That didn't get to do it last year to COVID, but that's what we're looking at sometime in September. So
we doing it out here again, or?
yeah, probably at the fairgrounds. It seems to work better out there. A lot easier to park. So,
It's always well attended.
yeah, and it's flat, so
For all the things you're doing, yourself will be flat, isn't it?
yeah, yeah. So, that's all I have, I think.
Okay, thank you. Katie?
Doing reassessment. We are in Florida Township. That's going well. Our tax court hearing was June 17th, and we got a decision on that, and we won at tax court. We have two still before the IBTR from last year's appeals. One of them is the same petitioner we won at tax court with. I don't anticipate seeing anything differently there. It's bid time for reassessment. I've got the RFBs out in the Sentinel. By statute, I only have to actually advertise it once. I'm advertising it twice just for transparency. I really anticipate only one company bidding, and that'll be Tyler again. Lexor, who bid last time, does not have any level 2 field people to do the work. So that's in our RFB that they need to be level 2 to be out in the field. So ad valorem may ask for a bid packet, but there's not very many companies that do this work. So, and other than that, I think we're in good shape. We are all rolled and balanced with the auditor on both real and personal property, and all my files are up at the state now. So we're doing good.
Okay, well, congratulations on your win at tax court. That's,
Thank you.
glad to have that, I'm sure you're glad to have that behind you.
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Chris, you got grant things, and anything else why?
And then some other money.
Okay.
So there's two grants that I'm applying to. One is the salary grant that should reimburse no less than $18,000 for Heather and I's salary this year. And this is something we do every year. It's pretty easy. It's just paperwork drill. The second one is a grant that I'm going after to get up to $40,000, looking to buy a generator, a backup generator for the highway garage. There's no matching money on this. This is a grant that's coming out of the ARP money. It's a competitive grant. And I'm working through trying to get people to come out here and look to see what that would be. But that should be pretty easy. We won't spend more. And then if we get awarded, we'll come back and talk to you about what needs to happen next. The other thing was moving money from one account, from the equipment account on the 1222 fund, to pay for more part-time work for the dispatchers. So I'm asking for what amounts to about 300 hours of part-time, which comes to $3,900. And then there's also the Social Security and Medicaid costs, which would come from, I can't remember which one, I think office supplies, yeah. And the reason why I need this is we got hit with COVID, but although no one got sick, we had a lot of people who were out, and we burned through our part-time budget, which is $7,800 pretty quick. Look at what's happening here in the next few months is we've lost a dispatcher who's on medical stuff right now, and she could be out for up to 12 weeks. And that amounts to about 500 hours of work. And there's also probably going to lose another one for medical stuff. And so what I'd like to do is keep working the part-time dispatchers that we have. In the end, this will save the county money because we don't run up comp time. So this is just trying to keep our comp time under control, and part-time dispatchers are cheaper than comp time for full-time dispatchers.
And those are in your we have those transfers, I think, in our, so we'll, I don't think should be a problem. Okay.
All right, that's it.
Thank you.
Guys,
Good deal, thank you.
all right, thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah.
We need to sign those grants.
Maybe we'll have a motion in a second so that I'm authorized to sign. For the
I'll make a
grants.
motion to authorize council president to sign for the 2 grants requested by the Emergency Management Agency.
Second.
Motion been made, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Frazier, have anything that you'd like to offer?
Nope, just glad to be here.
Glad you came,
Thank you.
glad you came, anytime. Commissioner Reese?
Yeah. I was kind of put out that insurance guy last time took longer than I usually do, so I'm going to go for that director today.
I got time.
Just got a couple things. You've already discussed some of those that we had, so I would like to know from you guys, I'd say within, we meet again, not next Monday, but the following Monday. If you get with me and give me your opinion on the color of the doors, we'll make a decision on what color we're going to go. So when we do get someone else to contract, the only contract we've got proposal so far was, like I said, $24,000 for all of them.
I guess I gave you the other one. I gave you mine by mistake, so sorry.
The ash trees have been inoculated in the yard. That's those big trees, trying to save those from the ash borer disease, and so far we've been okay with that. We are going to be trimming the lower levels of several trees that are hanging down the way. Covered Bridge Festival coming up, so we're going to be doing some tree trimming. So when you see that going on, that's what that is. We will be planting another evergreen tree on the northwest corner where the one was that we had to take out this last year. It'll be not the same, but similar to the blue spruce on the northeast side that we decorate now, the town decorates now for Christmas. I met with Matt Steckley. Matt Steckley is the guy that we hired to do the study for all of the mechanicals that we have in the jail as well as the courthouse. And he did a good job at that. He's really got quite a maintenance schedule. In fact, some of the maintenance schedule is more than what Don can get accomplished, but we'll have to consider that if we need to hire some people to come do some of those filter changes. The company that put them in used to do those, but they haven't come back for years and changed those filters. So apparently the time ran out. I wasn't involved with that. That was before me. And so apparently the time ran out in that contract, but we do those filter changes now, and we need to do more with that. You already talked about the shredder, so we were waiting to see if that was something you guys were interested in funding. And then I was talking about Matt Steckley. There are some issues at the jail, mechanic-wise. I'm sure Justin knows about this. One of them is a leaky boiler. It's leaking a lot. It was set on too high too. He got the temperature adjusted apparently. But he's got some other things he's concerned about, and I like to meet with with Justin and you guys, kind of like we did with the roads. When we had condition with the road, we set up a road commission, where we just met and came together and talked about stuff. Instead of us deciding something and then going to you to see if that's what you wanted to do. I think we just need to meet and talk, maybe create a capital projects commission, if that works for some of you. But what he's got, we were just talking, we think he's able to build about 98, so most of that equipment's 23, 24 years old. There are 5 or 6 resident units, air handlers, they're at the end of their life cycle, and to have to replace all 5 or 6 of them the same year, or most of them the same year, would be quite a cost. His plan, of course, is to start making plans for replacing them once a year, once every other year as you go down the road, as long as they last. Makes sense to me. But that would be something that we would all have to decide together if that's what we want to do. So is there any interest of having a group put together to look at the capital projects that we have and start making plans ahead of time to
That's
replace some of
fine,
these
I mean,
things?
that sounds certainly logical. So,
Okay.
yeah, we can do that.
All right, then I'll find a date. He was going to ask him to come talk to you guys, make some of those presentations your meeting in August. If that will work, maybe we meet before that in the next week or two. Just have him come out and go through some of the things, show you some of the things he's talking about, what the needs are, what we need to start planning. Of course, they're all big money items, so I'll tell him that you're interested in doing that. We'll pick a date and I'll get it out to you and give you a couple dates and see if that works for you. The only other thing I got is, it was on Facebook, you know, people just get, in fact, my daughter-in-law thought they were talking about me. Somebody posted about, she was so disappointed with the highway department because there was just some old guy out there taking care of the roads. She thought she was talking about me. Could have been, I was out patching roads over on Midway, on the Sim Smith Bridge. So it could have been me, but I don't think so. I think she was talking about Lee Creed. I just want to tell you who Lee Creed is. Most of you probably know Lee Creed. He's the guy out on 720, that area that does all of those old military trucks, those Army trucks. He's got a whole row of these things. And he is a good community person. And he has patched roads like me for years. And he'll just come get material with the permission of us and permission of the highway department and go fill potholes. And he called me one day, and he was looking for he does community service like that all the time. Nobody ever hears about him. Nobody knows him. He does good stuff. He has repaired cemeteries. Anyway, he called and asked if there was a project that he could do. He was wanting something bigger to do. And he suggested the Rocky Fork Bridge is one of the bypass bridges, and Big Rocky Ford, I guess it is. And it's got some holes. It's concrete. It's got some holes in it. And it's on the list, highway department, to repair. And they just haven't got there yet. Of course, can't get them all at the same time. And so he asked if he could put a surface on that. And I said, well, let me talk to Randy. So I talked to Randy about that, and Randy was okay with him doing that. He asked the commissioners, we approved it. We took a vote and approved that in the meeting, let him do that. So Lee was down working on that, and I think that's what she's talking about. So if the question should come up is who's the old guy down at 720 working on that bridge, that's who it is, and he has both the permission of the highway department and the commissioners to do that work on that. So he's not out just doing stuff on his own. He is listed on our list of volunteers with the county, so he's covered by the insurance. So anything he should have a problem with, or anybody have a problem with him, it's under our umbrella as well. He did send me a text the other day. He was pretty proud. He said he was about 2/3 done, and he thought that it would probably get him a second or a third ribbon at the 4-H fair. So he thought he was moving right along with progress as best he could. We have arranged with the town. The town has donated to us, to the commissioners and to the cemetery commission. There was an old mixer, a cement mixer sitting behind one of the sheds that had trees growing up through it, in fact. But he thought he could use that for those kinds of projects for the cemetery commission. And he thought he could rejuvenate that. Probably just needs a new motor belt, but we don't know. So I talked to Esslinger, and Esslinger took it to the town. The town agreed to let us have that. So they got it out. They got the trees out apparently of it, so they could get it out from behind the shed. And we'll take that and redo that too, and then we'll be using that with the cemetery commission. So that's all I got.
Okay, good, that's all good. The auditor had advised us that, we're running close now on the courthouse security money.
We talked about it in the commission meeting.
Pardon me?
We talked about it in the commission meeting. I was going to ask you, because we weren't sure if it was funded to July or through July.
Well, I think, what did you say, it's gonna run out here soon?
This payday we've got coming up, that we're doing right now, is $2,074. We've only got $2,500 left in the budget. So after we pay this coming, the week that they're working this week and next week, there's not going to be money in the budget to pay them. what they're working presently.
So as you recall, or the way I recall it, is that, of course, we've always been doing 3 days a week prior to COVID, and that seemed to work pretty well. And then, of course, once we had the COVID hit, we had to start screening people for their temperature and symptoms. So we went to 5, and COVID funds paid for that to the end of 20.
Right.
And then for 21, we budgeted back to we had budgeted for the 3 days a week. Well, we've still been doing 5. Well, now that's the reason that the fund is run out of money, because we only budgeted for 3 days a week. So we're going to have to address that at some point. But I myself, is 3 days a week. That was what the courthouse security we'd all agreed to in the meeting. I see no reason but what to go back to 3 days a week. I don't want to speak for Justin here. He had kind of told me that it is becoming more of a struggle for you to cover it 5 days a week. Is that still, I mean, not terrible, but it is, you just kind of let me know it's kind of taxing the system a bit. Or,
on occasion it is.
So we would like to go back to 3 days a week, I think, if you're, you know.
To me, that's up to you guys with funding. We'll do whatever you guys want to fund, so it's not a problem.
I mean, we can revisit this if you want to revisit it again, or the commissioners do at budget time for something more, but, you know, we're going to have to come up with, Roy, maybe, I don't know if you've done a calculation.
I haven't done a calculation.
How much money it's going to take, but we'll have to come up with money to go back to the 3 days a week for the rest of the year.
All I know is that Nick Sauter said he's in all the courthouses in the surrounding counties. We would, every other county has only one entrance as we do. So every other county that he deals with is in that one entrance mode. So I don't know if you want to stay there, if you want to go back to open up all the doors, so.
Well, part of it just goes back to what we can afford. It's not so much what we want to do. But I think we're probably going to have to go back to the 3 days for now.
If we're going to go 3 days, my suggestion would be, I think the commission would agree that we probably need to not go in the basement entrance anymore and go back to the upstairs.
My answer
up
would
there.
be exactly.
I wouldn't want
Put them in the middle like they were.
I wouldn't want people roaming around the basement with no security down there. So.
Yeah, I think that, you know,
Not that they can't get there anyway, but.
my position on this is that we funded 3 days. We added the 2, as John said, for the COVID screening and everything, and that's done. We're not doing that anymore. If we end up having to go back to doing that, that's something that can be addressed later. And then we open the doors upstairs, and they come in, and the security officers station where they were.
And then
We don't want to
room
roam
upstairs. Of course, the other thing is.
Well, they can go there anyway. I mean,
They
they
can
can come out, but.
They're available to go upstairs some and be in the courtroom some, which was kind of really why we started all of this was for. And I know it's not supposed to be the bailiff or anything like that, but you know, at certain times they need him upstairs to assist.
I see value having one in the courthouse. I see no value to having one in the first floor of the courthouse. As we talked about before, if I was going to be a bad guy and come shoot the place up, and Justin was sitting at that desk, first thing I'd come up,
Probably get him.
come up and shoot him, then I'm free to go. So that really has no value. But in the courthouse, I mean, courtroom, I think it has value. But although there has been some instances, I maybe talked to Cameron about this, we did have some instances of people getting excited in some of the offices, and that seems to have stopped with having an officer on the first floor, so they don't come in and start yelling at people in the offices.
To me, it's about visibility.
Yeah.
And my experience with that individual is that he wasn't just sitting at that podium anyway. He was moving around, walking around the courthouse and stuff.
I hadn't seen that.
No.
Podium yet.
Prior to being in the basement.
Oh, okay.
Prior to that.
Yeah, that's what I need too.
And I agree with you 100%.
Yeah.
That person,
Yeah.
be there sometimes, but he'd be walking around and checking everything. And I think that's the way it ought to be.
So those things really are, to me, I can't speak for the other two, but I think I know how they are. Whatever you want to fund is what was set up.
Well, let's
You
do
tell us
that,
what you
let's
want to
do
set up.
that, and then if we want to revisit to do something different, why, we haven't had a courthouse security meeting in quite some time, that's up to the judge to call, so maybe I'll try to encourage him that we'll have one and see kind of as we proceed forward into budget time.
Okay. So you want us to go back as soon as possible to the 3?
I'd start next week.
I can't do that because we don't meet till after that, so we'll have to go
Okay,
have
well,
that meeting to
we'll
do
start,
that.
we'll try to, okay.
We
Fair
start the
enough.
following week. We have a meeting
Fair
on Monday,
enough.
so we
Fair
can
enough.
start after that. Yeah.
Well, we'll have to come up with a dollar amount.
We'll figure it out, deal with it in August.
Okay.
So I have a question. So for the weeks that they're working this week and next week, am I going to be?
You're gonna pay them into the, pay
Just
the
run
line
it
into the red.
in the red.
Into the red.
Just run it in the red, and then we'll fix it. We'll fix it next month. When I figure out where the money's gonna come from and that sort of thing. So if you're good with that, well, we'll do that and.
Okay. Works for me.
Okay.
Opening doors.
just a quick update on the Albright. I heard you guys mention that earlier, but I asked Nick, he's going to do the sales disclosure document, the tax deed transfer documentation probably within the next week or two. I let Mr. Larson know that that's coming, so he's not ill prepared. So he's looking forward to closing on the property, so we'll get that done.
Did the whole Thrive thing with the housing and stuff, whatever happened, and if you don't want to discuss that.
No, I
that's
was
fine.
looking at Jim because I know he
You know,
talked
we
to
saw,
Ryan. And
we
yeah.
were sharing some emails back and forth, and Cindy had, I thought, some good ideas
Yeah, I
about
think
how
there's
to
a better
do
way to do
that.
it. I think there's a better way to do it than that, I think. So it doesn't mean Thrive won't be involved, but there's a better way to do that, different information sources, I think. So we are not going to participate in that grant request and that $10,000 matching request, so we're going to do another way. There'll still be some cost involved in the study, but not $10,000.
Sure. Okay, well, I thought Cindy had some good ideas in
Yeah,
the
she
email that she shared, and so that was like, well, we ought to maybe go with what she, I followed her thinking very well, so.
It seems not often, but sometimes she has good ideas. She does good things.
I'm surprised you didn't take credit for it myself.
What's your day?
Yeah.
She does okay. She
That's okay.
She's done.
I may have mentioned that to her a time or two.
Okay, well, all right, let's move on. Minutes for the previous meeting, June 10th.
I don't care.
Well, either move it or I'm gonna move on, one or the other.
Move on.
Need to be tabled.
Still haven't, I think there's errors.
There's lots of errors.
Errors in these, that, for instance, one of them right up there that I made a motion to approve the minutes, I don't make motions. Okay, the minutes are tabled, additional appropriations.
We've got to, the Park and Rec one, which is, our second attempt at this one. Just for complete, transparency, the Sentinel made an error in the publishing of it in the printed version. This was just, I discovered this, reached out to the Sentinel through the reporter, or through the editor. They corrected it in the online and the electronic version online, and as well as their public notices section of their website, which does meet any requirements for publication. I thank the Sentinel for their efforts to rectify the situation. It was a mistake that happened, a freak accident. It's no big deal. We corrected that. It has been addressed. That is for the insurance cost for the park superintendent after the increase last year that was not enough appropriated in that line. And then there's one for local road and street for bituminous, and I don't have any real color on that, but I know there's plenty of money in that fund, so.
Okay, that is what's before you for additionals.
Make motion to approve the additionals.
Second.
Motion been made, second, for the additionals, all in favor?
Aye.
So we had the transfers, Chris
Chris talked
about those. I don't know if there's any other, shouldn't be any other questions, I wouldn't think, on those.
I move to approve the transfers as presented.
Second.
Motion been made, second, all in favor?
Aye.
We have a reappropriation from the ambulance service. There was received a refund check for some vaccine that was incorrectly shipped. So it's like to have that reappropriated into the COVID medical supplies appropriation.
So moved.
Second.
Motion been made, second, reappropriate funds, all in favor?
Aye.
Pay the jury.
Make motion to pay the jury. Second.
Motion been made, second, pay the jury, all in favor?
Aye.
We have no reduction in funds. Redevelopment Commission did not meet findings and
We met, no new violations. Cassie's working on some older ones.
Could I bring something up on that funding zone? I was approached by,
Roger.
Dave. He had some business to take care of. plan, and they've had difficulty getting people there to make the quorum. I guess there were 4 that have missed several meetings in a row, so I think maybe, I don't even know who all the appointees are. I know the commissioners have them, but we don't have all the appointees, do we, for the?
We appoint one,
We have one.
I think. Brad, Brad Craycraft.
Okay, and I don't know if he's been able to come to meetings. Like, of course, he gets busy farmer time like you do, so I don't know how that works. But we'll look at that list, and we may come to you with some recommendations before we make any changes in appointments. But we need to have people show up there, and so they can have quorum every time. People like Roger come to do business, and they can't. They just got to be put off until another time. So we've always had that problem. When I first got on 20 years ago, that was a problem. So it always is. So another one of having good people wanting to do good stuff, but they got to be there to do that. So I'll get a listing of the attendants, and we'll figure out where we go from there. And see if we can get recommendations from them about making changes and who that change might be, and move forward.
Just for the record, I am not the alternate on planning or on zoning.
Okay.
You're not
And that's what Roger wanted his suggestion, was we need to have more alternates, so if somebody can't come.
And somebody said that I was an alternate and hadn't showed up, but that is incorrect.
Okay, he didn't give me any names of who was, who wasn't. He just said there weren't enough people for the quorum, so we need to look at that too. So if we make changes in the structure, we can do that as well. So I just want to know that we are addressing that, and we will get with you. We'll get a list of who has and hasn't been there, and see what we do.
Okay, sounds good. Sounds good. Is there anything else we've done?
We're good.
Courthouse security did not meet. Solid waste.
Haven't met yet this month.
Okay. Solid waste. Okay, do we have any new business, Roy, or do you have anything on?
Well, just an update on where we stand on the budget preparation. Form 1s are in and done in the sheets. I understand that they're in Harris as well, so I'll go through that check here shortly. The current year financial worksheets are done, which is where you put in the June 30th balances and additional appropriations and everything that goes along with that. Revenues are done except for the income estimates and the division of levies, excise, financial institutions tax, and CBET. We should have income estimates within any time. It's generally right in this second week of July when we get the first one. So most of the small funds, frankly, are adjusted and done. That's roughly say half to almost 2/3 of them are been through their first run. The growth quotient came out at 4.3%. The increase from that was about 123. It will be about $123,000. The highway revenue is back to 2020 levels, pre-COVID, 2020 forecast, and an increase off of that. So last year was a one-time blip downward at this point in the gas tax revenue, which is what funds that. So working our way through getting to the August budget hearings.
Good. Laura, I kind of skipped over the auditor report up there, I just realized. Do you have any, how's the audit going? Is the State Board of Accounts still working?
We're still, probably within another week or two, the audit should be completed. Right now, I'm also working on having TIF done by Friday to the state to be approved. And then my plans is having the CNAP, the Certified Net Assessed Values, to the state to be completed by no later than July 20th.
Laura, on the TIF, you haven't gotten with me for the new construction and demolitions
The new construction?
that goes on that TIF report.
Okay. I'll get with you on that.
And to the auditor's credit, I want to thank her, let you know that she's been providing untold numbers of documents concerning insurance and what we pay for insurance through her as well as UMR, as we continue to have an analysis done on our health insurance situation, looking for alternatives. So another job she's having to do.
Okay, good deal.
Settlement is completed, it went way before normal than usual, so all the settlement and everything else is also completed.
Good deal. Good deal.
I have one more thing. It's come to my attention that we are late in the payments of some of the withholdings to FICA, federal child support withholdings, et cetera. I would like for you to take a look at that and make sure that that is done, is caught up and timely now.
It is, that's at this week.
And whatever process needs to be put in place to keep that on time, because as you well know, that if some of those get late, then people start getting real mad, particularly child support folks.
I will keep on top of that.
Okay. All right. Nothing else.
Motion to adjourn.